Turning now to developing news in Santa Ana, an Orange County man accused in the fatal stabbing of his classmate back in 2018 will once again take the stand in his own defense to try and convince jurors that that act was not a hate crime. KTLA 5's Orange County Bureau Chief Chip Yost is live outside the courthouse in Santa Ana with more on this. Hi, Chip.
Yeah, hey there, Lou and Glenn. You know, when you hear that the defendant in a murder trial is going to take the stand in his own defense, a certain image may come to mind. Riveting testimony, jurors on the edge of their seats, listening to every answer. Well, that's not what happened here. Actually, in some cases, it looked like some of the jurors were having trouble staying awake. I'll explain in a minute. This involves the trial of Samuel Woodward, accused of the murder of Blaze Bernstein. Now, you may remember that Blaze Bernstein and Samuel Woodward were former classmates. Woodward is accused of killing Bernstein back in January of 2018. You may remember during opening statements, Woodward appeared to look much different than he did at the time of his arrest. He now has long hair and a beard. This is some file footage you're looking at from those opening statements because we're not allowed to have a camera on during his testimony today. Now, the prosecutors have charged Woodward with a hate crime, saying that he killed Bernstein because Bernstein was gay. And right now there's no dispute over whether or not Woodward is the killer. During the opening statements, Woodward's defense attorney basically admitted that his client did it. What they do argue about is whether or not it was a hate crime. They say it was not a hate crime. The defense attorney during opening statements seemed to imply this was a crime of passion, something that happened that night that sparked Woodward to kill Bernstein, his former classmate at the Orange County School of the Arts. But on the stand today, we didn't hear anything about what happened the night of the killing. Instead, it was a long history of jobs Woodward had held, different things he had done. And it was, like I said, some of the jurors, it seemed that they were having trouble paying attention, staying engaged. At one point, more than half of the jurors were not even looking at Woodward while he testified. And to give you an example of what was going on in the courtroom, the defense attorney would ask Woodward a question and there would be a long pause before he would answer. Just to give you one example, at one point the defense attorney asked him if he liked a Nerf party job that he had. He had a job of some sort working at Nerf parties at the time of his arrest back in 2018. The defense attorney, asked him if he liked that job better than some of the other jobs they had talked about earlier in the morning. There was a long pause, and at one point the defense attorney asked him, hey, would you keep your head up and look at me or look at the jurors when you talk, because Woodward also was not making eye contact. He was just looking down, answering very slowly to everything he was asked. Eventually, about 50 seconds later after he was asked the question, he answered the question, said, yeah, he kind of felt that it was more rewarding working the Nerf job. It seems to be that they're trying to build up what his state of mind was, what his mentality was, what his capabilities were at the time of the murder. So a lot of testimony they're getting right now, not directly related to the night of the murder, but it seems like they're trying to get to what his mentality was. Was he capable of premeditating a hate crime, a murder, such as he is accused of right now? Right now, he is still on the stand. We expect that later this afternoon, he's going to continue to be on the stand because, like I said, they have not even got around to talking about what happened the night of the murder as of yet. For now, reporting live here in Santa Ana, I'm Chip Yost, KTLA 5 News.